What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today is a highly requested Strasbourg tactic. It is going to be Rosnior. I believe I butcher that name all the time, but it's taken a fair while because I don't usually watch the French league too much, but we've gone away, done our research, and hopefully recreated it to your satisfaction. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and as always, comment below right now 1, 5, 10 videos you want to see, because I've got a big notepad here, and your suggestions mean everything. Let's get into the video. Then we are going to start off with Strasbourg to start, because it is a very important part of the video. Now, this team are obviously a decent team in the league. They have got Omega, who is a little bit of an FM hidden gem, so a little bit of a gold mine right there. But I will go and say we did not manage to win the league, so it's not all perfect stuff on this channel. PSG just edging it a little bit by 8 points, but to be fair, second place is a very, very strong finish, and we do go on to win the French Cup 3-0 over Lyon, so we are able to actually be competitive against some of the better French teams. Now, in terms of the league, we can of course go and see how the league table was a bit more in depth here. We did, however, have a lot of players in the average rating, a little bit behind on the clean sheets, but Valentin Barco, who was playing at left back in real life, he does play in midfield for this team, so that's quite an interesting transition there. Now, in terms of the stats, we are going to be the highest scorers. We are going to have the most shots, the fewest shots against, the best pass completion, higher than PSG, the most dribbles, but of course where they were a little bit stronger was the defensive side of the game, and also the possession side of the game, so that might just be the little difference from winning the French league. And obviously finishing second isn't too bad, and let's not forget their team is absolutely nuts, and Luis Enrique is not a bad manager at the end of the day. Now, in terms of the data hub, we can go and see 3 goals a game, 0.74 conceded, so very, very solid, just 0.6 off a 91% pass completion, over 17 shots a game. So for me, I'm going to take this because it's a great season with a relatively decent French team, but especially in this game, you can put PSG, Marseille, Monaco, Nice, Lille, Lyon over them most likely in terms of squad quality. So for me, big achievement. Let's go and watch the highlights of that French final, because this one, it was a little bit of a scrappy start. Let's just say that, because we are going to find ourselves 1-0 up, but the build-up to get that chance even somewhat happening was not great. It was a little bit scrappy from Lyon, and from that point on, they completely fell apart. The heads were lost. Barco here, of course, playing left-back in this system. Bakwa picks it up, a great through ball, but again, the Lyon backline is completely asleep, and we are now having an absolute laugh, as this does not help their case. I've been saying how bad they've been doing, and that sums up this final. Not the Lyon I know. Next up, it is going to be the manager's former team. It is going to be Hull City. Now, I will go over and say this right now. This was actually a really good season, because getting to the final of the FA Cup, to me, is as just impressive as winning the championship. A real good run in that competition. Also, not a bad run in the Carabao Cup. And as for the league, well, we absolutely storm it. You can see here, we only lose 9 games. We win 32, draw the other 5. And despite not having the top goal scorer as Ryan Brewster storms the league alongside of Iheanacho, we come in and put on a real strong display, and that resulted in still maintaining the top amount of goals being scored, the fewest shots against, the most dribbles, and defensively actually coming out on top. So a very strong season for the Tigers. Now, the data hub, we can go over and see a little less goals is to be expected. We are obviously not a strong team in the championship, and it is a tougher league. A lot better teams around us, a lot more fierce, and a lot more teams that do play quite defensive structured football. So it is to be expected to have that little bit of a hit, but we're still conceding less than a goal a game. The pass completion's still there. The shots per games are still there. It's a stellar season. And in the FA Cup 4th round, we actually got a miracle result against United, really showcasing how good this tactic is against better teams. And do you know what? United were playing a very strong team, a very strong cup team, and they just simply couldn't do anything against us. I mean, it is simply lovely play. Lincoln down the left-hand side, and I tell you what, United, it's like watching the real life. And then lastly, over to a very interesting Man City season, because Haaland actually was injured to 7 to 8 months, or 6 to 7 months, I believe. So we didn't have any Haaland, and I thought, do you know what? This is now even a better test. And it did mean things. So, for example, usually with a fully fit Haaland, you'd win everything potentially, but we don't win the FA Cup or the Super Cup, but we do win everything else. The Champions League 3-1 over Madrid, the Carabao Cup 4-1 over Everton, the Community Shield 3-1 over United, and the league we done absolutely amazing in. And it is going to be Jeremy Doku, who was playing up front and doing that. I don't know why Marmoush wasn't playing, no real idea behind that. He was playing a bit in the AM role, or the AP role, so quite interesting, but I'm going to take it and run because we missed out on the best striker in the game, some would say, and we still put on a remarkable season. Possession, still not quite there. United dominating that, but I mean, goals, defensive record, data hub, I imagine, is still also going to be great. Yeah, over 3 goals a game with no Erling Haaland, a low amount of goals conceded, a good pass completion. It's absolutely beautiful. Big fan. We actually started off the Champions League final in not the best fashion. When you've got a ball player like that in Modric putting the ball in, Militao's going to tuck it away. But luckily, I've got my set pieces, and I know mine are better than Madrid's, and that is going to be a great way to get back into the game, as we are going to lead 2-1 from another set piece with a penalty in the 75th minute, and we go on to actually win this quite comfortably in the end by a 2-goal cushion. Awful from Rudiger. Doku picks it up, the man up front, goes alone. Oh, that's cheeky. I love it. Well, fair play. Right then, over to your favourite part of the video. That is going to be the tactic breakdown. If you are enjoying, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And once again, if you do enjoy rebuilds, you can head over to my second channel, Daily Josh, where we are going to do a Strasbourg rebuild using this exact system. So make sure you head on over. But to make this tactic, all you want to do is create your own style. And just for now, we'll load in a 5-2-3 because obviously it's going to be quite a bit to talk about. Now, with this tactic, you've got to understand a couple of things. This is tailored around the Strasbourg team, and you've got to make sure that the teams that you have can at least have the basic fundamentals of playing in this system. Now, the teams that we used, obviously Hull City was just purely used because it was a former team, and Man City, they can play any formation, so make sure you have got the right players to play this wonderful formation. The first thing you want to do is go down to the bottom left and change from balanced up to positive, and let's go and start to build this wonderful tactic. Starting off with a goalkeeper who actually is going to be a default goalkeeper, simply with no added instructions. We are then going to go with a wide centre-back on the right-hand side because, as you'll see very shortly, the right-hand side of this back line is actually a winger. If you have watched Strasbourg, this season, they have got not really an issue because they're doing very well, but on the right-hand side and even arguably the left-hand side, they can utilise a winger as well, and sometimes that can make you a bit vulnerable, but for us, we weren't necessarily the best of the best defensively, but we held our own and we got the result. So a wide centre-back on the right-hand side. Through the middle, we are going to use a ball-playing defender who is simply going to come in on defend, and that's going to explain that nice and simply. Just to paint the picture a bit easier, we are going to talk about this winger on the right-hand side, who is going to come in simply on support. Now, he is going to be given the opportunity to attack because we do need that input. So 2 instructions, get forward and also run wide. Because we don't also have a wing back behind him, and obviously the players in the central area isn't going out wide, he needs to get wide, run wide, and obviously also get forward. So hopefully that just makes it a little bit easier to understand. Now the left-sided centre-back, I can't talk, is going to be a wide centre-back who is going to come in on defend as well. Again, very important we do have a width across this back three because, again, we have got a very attacking option on the left-hand side, which is going to be a complete wing-back simply on support. Again, very important he does provide the width, so he is simply going to be set to run wide with the ball. I do want to quickly say at this part of the video, if you are interested in getting all 3 of today's tactics and these wonderful perks, you can come over and check out the Patreon where you get ad-free viewing, console tactics, mobile tactics, rebuild files, exclusive tactics you don't see on here, one-on-one tactical help, access to big monthly giveaways. In fact, you have got 2 days to just about enter the £800 PayPal giveaway, which is split between 8 winners, so make sure you head on over and get stuck in there because that could be a nice little treat. But thank you for listening. Let's carry on with the breakdown. So when you've got this sort of shape going on, you do need to have 2 deeper players. You couldn't really get away with playing them as central because you'd be way too far pushed up, and for me, I don't think it would work that well. So we are going to go right in and use a DLP on support, simply on the left hand side, nice and simple. And when it comes to the right-hand side, we are going to utilise an anchor. Now, this decision is not only made because it really suits the way we play, but I forgot the exact player in the Strasbourg team, but there's one player who isn't really the best at playing a ball-winner midfielder role, a DM, so that is purely tailored around his position. And obviously, the theme in the video is to replicate the Strasbourg system. Now, both of these players in the middle, to complete this, it technically describes it as a 4-2-3-1, but it is still going to be your 3-4-2-1, your 3, your 4, your 2, then your 1. Just obviously the winger is a little bit pushed up. Now, on the left-hand side, we are going to be using an AP, who is simply going to be coming in on support with a couple of instructions consistent of moving into the channels and also closing down more. Again, if you're struggling to find the close down more instruction, you need to clean slate the entire team instructions to actually see it. And on the right-hand side, we are going to use another advanced playmaker, and he's going to differ a little bit purely just on roaming instead of the channels, and also he will be closing down more. So a nice mixture between the two advanced playmakers, and the advanced forward is simply going to be roaming from the position, tackling harder, and also closing down more. So quite the fair bit of press from the front three. Now, going over to the actual team instructions, we are going to go and talk about it. We are going to remain on fairly wide with the overlap left to really get Valentin Barco deep in the game, the higher tempo, the passing down by 1 to shorter, and simply run at defence. So to be honest, quite a reserved way of playing football. I mean, it is got a little bit of press, but compared to some of the tactics we've dropped recently, this is one of the least aggressive when it comes to really demanding out of the players. In transition, we are going to counter press and also counter while playing to the back line and simply taking short goal kicks. So again, probably what you'll sort of become used to seeing, because it's the way of football. A lot of managers play this sort of counter press style, hit on the counter, and in the French league, it's pure pace, and luckily with Omega up front, we can just about play that way. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to use the high press with that higher line, step up more, get stuck in, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and also more often on the trigger press. But this is going to not work. The tactic won't work with just one. We of course do need to go over and talk about the attacking version, because I do differ between tactics every single game, because sometimes you're playing a weaker team, sometimes a neutral team, sometimes a stronger team. So you do need to get all of these tactics, and of course that's not just to send you over there because you can copy from the video, but please make sure you have got all three loaded, because I sometimes see someone leave a comment about it didn't work with, for example, I don't know, let's say Ipswich Town. They've gone in with the attacking tactic and not got the other two. So make sure you are getting all of them, because they're not there just for fun. Now, the goalkeeper does remain the same. The back line remains the same. The complete wing back goes up to attack, simply on run wide. The DLP remains the same. The anchor the same. The winger on attack, on run wide. The right-hand side does remain the same for the advanced playmaker. We also add a shadow striker to commit one more player forward, and the advanced forward also remains unchanged. Now, in terms of the actual mentality, we're not going to use balanced. We are going to operate on the attacking mentality. In possession, we're going to pass into the space while also overlapping left. And just to make it a little bit more buffed up, we are going to max out the tempo alongside of being more expressive and also running at defence. So just the minor changes that will go on to make the big difference. In transition, counter press, counter, distribute quickly, play to the centre backs, and take short goal kicks. It's virtually pointless to change where you're going to play this to. You've got 3 centre backs there. It's the easy option. Get it moving quickly, get the ball moving quickly. That's exactly what you want to do, and also limited risks. And out of possession, we are going to remain with the higher defensive line. The much higher I tested, it doesn't work. I will be honest. Do not deploy the much higher line. The trigger press, up by 1, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, get stuck in, and also set to step up more. But of course, that's your attacking. To defend a game out with, you need to be, funny enough, more defensive. Now, we are going to keep it on the balanced mentality because we don't really want to go risky, to be honest. We are now going to have this sort of approach of a lower tempo, more direct sort of style, so it will come to no surprise that the entire back line remains unchanged when it comes to the centre backs. The anchor, unchanged. The DLP now on defend, on the default. Complete wing back now on support, on the default. And also a defensive winger, opposed to the winger, who will also still get forwards and run wide, but just out of possession, he'll be more in that 4 block and be a lot more stable. Both of the advanced playmakers go back to the default version, exactly the same, as does the advanced forward as well. Now, where I personally have tweaked this a little bit is to go that sort of more lower tempo, actually bang on in the middle tempo, and we are going to go more direct by adding on slightly more direct passing and also passing into the space. Time wasting sometimes. If you got mine, play for set pieces, because they'll get you goals just off them alone. And sometimes playing this defensive way of football, you become quite reliant on having that sort of, you know, get out of jail card, a corner, a free kick. So make sure you go and get them. And also the dribbling, we are never going to change the way we play. We are going to run at defense. In transition, again, dropping off with the regroup and then countering and simply playing to the centre backs while taking short goal kicks. And lastly, out of possession, the standard line with that high press and a nice and simple basic trigger press. And that's going to give you 3 variants of this amazing tactic. Genuinely a breath of fresh air when I see a manager that I've never made before. So again, if you have got any requests, please do let me know, because I'm noting down tons right now, and trust me, they'll get done. We don't know when FM25's coming out. We've got all the time to play with, so make sure you comment below, whether even if it's a rebuild, tactic, whatever you want to see, be sure to get commenting below, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.